friends. I'm Karen, and this is the Family Food for Moms podcast. We're talking about inspiration for family cooking and dining. Today we're going to talk a little bit about Spanish food, fascinating culture, and how they approach food and dining. Similar to the French, mealtime is very important to Spanish culture. It's important to them that they eat slowly, that it's a social occasion, that they enjoy their food and not rush through it. So here are just a couple of things that are interesting about Spanish meals. So often there are long social affairs that bring people together and allow time for conversation and connection. They have a very structured approach to meals, and it's had in multiple sittings. So desayuno, I'm not sure how to pronounce that correctly, is breakfast, which is typically light, coffee with a pastry or toast. Then they have a mid-morning snack, which is a light snack before lunch. Then comida, lunch, the largest and most important meal of their days, and is usually served between 2 and 4 p.m., so later than we would be used to. Then an afternoon snack, a light snack before dinner, is often around 6 or even 7 p.m. And then dinner is usually lighter and served late, around 9 or even later than that. So this structure reflects the importance that they place on taking time to enjoy each meal rather than rushing through them, and time to sit together, to have conversation, and to enjoy the meal time as well. Their food is very much regional, so very different in each region, and there's even specific words for dishes that come from a part of the country, cooking techniques that vary across the country. So paella, I'm sure you've all heard of, is a famous dish from Valencia, and gazpacho is from Andalusia. It's like a tomato soup, cold tomato soup. So each region's food is tied to the local identity and traditions that they hold. There are several words relating to sharing food as well in Spanish. Tapas, I'm sure you're familiar with that. Tapas means small dishes that are meant to be shared. It's an unusual way of eating, but a fun one. Have you been to a tapas restaurant where you each order various small items and then you share and get to try a whole lot more things than you would if you just ordered one thing each? Raciones, portions for sharing, asados or barbecue. So the idea of sharing food with others is embedded in their culture. Spanish cuisine also focuses on high-quality, fresh ingredients, prepared very simply to bring out their natural flavors. So words like fresca or fresh or natural point to the importance of that in their culture. And they love to use olive oil, not just the Italians, but the Spanish too. Olive oil is not just a staple ingredient in their diet, but also a cultural symbol of Spanish cuisine. They use it in cooking, frying, salad dressings, all kinds of ways. So the Spanish are very similar in ways to the French in that they like to use fresh ingredients, they like to eat slowly and savor their food, they like to eat as a social occasion, enjoying good conversation, making the table beautiful, and to really appreciate their food. And then they love to use fresh ingredients and lots of olive oil to enhance the flavors. So how do Spanish children eat? And then we'll talk about Spanish school lunches. Spanish children eat in a similar way to the adults, but obviously they would eat smaller portions and sometimes their meals would be simpler. Breakfast is often light. So as I said before, toast with butter and jam, a small sandwich or a cereal with milk. Sometimes as a treat, they may have churros for breakfast. Those are those fried dough sticks, and you can dip them in hot chocolate and enjoy those. Then a mid-morning snack around 10:30 or 11 is common, something like fruit, yogurt, a piece of bread, or a small pastry like a croissant. And in schools, kids often bring a sandwich for this break. Then their lunch is the main meal of the day, typically between 2 and 3 p.m. And it'll be a starter like a soup or salad, a main course which will be meat, fish, or even pasta, and some vegetables, and then a dessert of fruit or yogurt. Then the afternoon snack would be more substantial than the morning snack and be at about 5 or 6 p.m. Again, a sandwich or a piece of fruit or some bread that they can dip in olive oil. Common one is pan con tomati, bread with tomato and olive oil. Then dinner. Oh, just a note, often French and even Spanish cultures like to dip their bread rather than put butter on. So they'll have a little bowl of olive oil and maybe some balsamic vinegar in it, and then they'll dip the bread in that rather than, and it's often quite crusty bread, rather than add the butter on top. Then dinner for Spanish children is a lighter meal than lunch and eaten later in the day, like around 9 p.m. And perhaps it would just be a smaller portion of the same foods from lunch, a simple salad, soup, or pasta. So in Spain, family meals are a big deal, and children typically eat with their families, sitting down to the table, nicely set table, and enjoying that time to connect with each other. They eat fresh seasonal foods, plenty of fruits, vegetables, and olive oil. And they're often social events with this extended family and friends. So their eating habits tend to emphasize balanced, home-cooked meals and a slow, relaxed approach to eating. Last time we talked about school lunches in France. This time we're going to talk about school lunches in Spain. Also very interesting and rather healthy. I'm going to read from a website called Madeus.com. As always, there'll be links in the show notes. If you go to familyfoodformoms.com, episode 24, and then you'll be able to find the links to these websites. At lunchtime, there are no lines, no trays, and definitely no neon-colored dessert. Every meal consists of 2 courses, served family style in huge metal bowls. The students sit at long tables, and a team of sweet, smiling women prepare and serve the food. One of the lunch ladies brought out a heaping dish of paella, steaming yellow rice, dotted with carrots, peas, potatoes, and tender pieces of cod. I've also feasted on the simplest tortilla española, thick and hearty vegetable soups, salty slabs of thinly sliced pork atop lettuce and tomatoes, drowning in vinegar and olive oil. I've ended every meal with a piece of fresh fruit, apple, banana, mandarin oranges, plump green grapes, and slices of juicy melon. So she's a teacher who sat with the students to eat the same as they do. So like in France, the children are expected to eat real food, not junk food or fast food, and they eat what is served. This is from the same website. The school day may be longer than you expect, as the first class takes place at 8 a.m. and the day finishes at 5. There's a big 2-hour lunch break in the middle to break up the day. You have plenty of time to unwind after a morning full of exciting lessons. The food is very healthy and nutritious. A freshly prepared salad is served every day, ensuring we're all topped up with vitamins to give us a healthy body and mind to finish the school day. And then there's a picture showing a Spanish school lunch consisting of fresh salad, Spanish tortilla, fried artichoke, and a dish of tuna, potato, and green beans served with fresh fruit. Then this is from a website called delishably.com. Again, the link will be in the show notes. Wow, the kids in Spain are eating a very healthy lunch, and it's a sharp contrast to the ones the kids are eating here. She saw a video from an American teenager whose lunch included yellow mac and cheese and a small greasy roll-up sandwich that she was dunking into an orange nacho cheese sauce. But in Europe, you won't find these processed foods. To start, her kids had a puree of zucchini soup. The main course was beef with carrot sauce and sautéed vegetables. And for dessert, they enjoyed fresh fruit. That sounds delightful. Then this website is called SpanishSabores.com. When mealtime rolls around, Spanish children usually dig into whatever the adults are eating. While there are some foods that seem to be kid favorites, like white rice or pasta or croquettes, Spanish kids scarf down meals that would seem downright exotic to most. Not all children in Spain eat lunch at school. Some of them eat at home, and Spain is famous for its late lunch. And in this case, 2 or 2:30 p.m. is when the children get home and eat their lunch. Many will bring a simple sandwich on a crusty baguette with a piece of fruit to munch on during recess around 11 a.m. But then other schools serve the children lunch in the middle of the day. The children eat lots of fish and vegetables. And here she gives some other unusual examples. I have no idea how to pronounce these words. Huevo rebozados. Fried eggs, but not the diner ones that you're familiar with. They're hard-boiled, stuffed with tuna, dipped in bechamel sauce, and then breadcrumbs. And then fried, they're served with tomato sauce and potato chips. This one, puro salda, a soup made with leeks, fish, potatoes, and carrots. Hamburgers of a different kind. So there's a meat patty served with no bun, with tomato sauce, and then a vegetable on the side. Then a soup cooked up with a huge list of ingredients, including meat, which is a very healthy soup. So often whole food, often nutritious. Kids eat the same as the adults, and there's lots of vegetables and salad involved. Good protein, good fruit. So very good lunches are served. So I think the main thing that we can see from this is that there is just not processed food. There's not frozen, reheated food. There's not junk food, but it's good, nutritious, fresh, in season, home-cooked food, just like the children in France. I find this very inspiring, but of course it's hard. It's not easy to do that, especially when you're sending lunch with your children. So I'm going to give some ideas of things you could do in different courses in your child's lunchbox. And then hopefully you can take some of them and leave some of them and see what works for you. So let's think of it in 4 different parts. If you have a lunchbox with 4 compartments, or you have a lunch bag and then some small containers with lids that you can put in individually into the bags. So the first one would be the salady vegetables. The second one would be the protein or main course. The third one would be some kind of dairy. And the fourth one would be fruit. And then we could add in some crusty bread if necessary. So I'm leaning more towards the French style of doing this. There's more variety, and I like the idea of the dairy. Perhaps your children do not eat dairy. In that case, you can skip that or substitute it with something else. But that'll be the 4 categories I'll be speaking about. So for the first course, let's think about some kind of vegetable that you can eat cold. So that would be a salad, tomatoes, cucumbers, maybe feta. If you like something interesting, you could add some croutons. You could add some cheese like cheddar in little blocks, or Emmentaler, more unusual cheeses. You could add a few little pieces of goat's cheese. You can get plain goat's cheese or cream cheese. It's similar. And then you can get some with something like tomato, sun-dried tomato on it, or herbs in it. So any kind of cheese on the salad. This would be in addition to the separate dairy part. I just like to have cheese on salad, but you could leave that out if you're going to have cheese in your other course and you want not too much. So some kind of cheese on your salad if you like that. Then things like avocado, a little bit of lemon juice on top, olive oil, balsamic vinegar. You could include some red peppers. You could include some seeds like pumpkin seeds. So a little salad is always great. And then you could do a different salad like a cucumber or cucumber and tomato salad. Very simple, slices of cucumber and tomato with a little olive oil and salt. Or you could do a little carrot salad, grated salad, and add a little orange juice on it for flavor. You could just simply, if you're in a hurry, put a few small carrots in. green beans or peas. So then something like steamed broccoli could work with a little lemon juice and salt on it, as those are still good cold. Anything that you like to do as a salady thing, you can make it a small part of your child's lunch. Then the main course, think of a protein that you are okay with them eating cold. So chicken breast is great and is definitely enhanced by a sauce, maybe a little cream sauce or some mushrooms. Any leftovers that you have, perhaps a bit of steak or meatballs. I wouldn't put in fish or pork that is not cold meat, just in case it may not last until lunchtime without going off. But then anything like a sliced cold meat, like pastrami from corned beef or some ham. And then obviously you could make sandwiches using sliced meat and cheese, but then try to put it on good healthy bread with good butter and the healthiest meat you can find, so that there's some good protein in there. Then if you have a flask, you could do a soup instead of the salad, a good hearty winter soup or a chicken noodle or a pea and ham soup, anything that you have or buy and then put in portions, heat it up in their lunch. Then the dairy course, it's easy to do a small yogurt, a small piece of cheese, a small piece of even brie or camembert, and perhaps some crackers to spread the cheese on. And then lastly, a piece of fruit, an orange, an apple, something for them to end off with. So the idea is just to avoid the processed prepackaged snacks. I know it's more work, but for me, it's worth it. You can do a little bit of trail mix in one compartment with nuts and raisins and some seeds. And certainly sometimes you can add a granola bar or something on the side. So anything that works for your family without it being too overwhelming, but that moves in the direction of whole food and good health for your child. Also, I think a great strategy is to have water with your meal rather than a juice or a chocolate milk or something. So happy lunch making. That's all for today, and thanks for joining me.